Your perfect week plan is dead by Wednesday every single time. And I don't mean occasionally, I mean Monday morning you sit down, you open your planner, you've got your coffee, you've mapped everything out. This is the week where everything clicks. And then your camera stops working for 2 hours, your train breaks down, a plumber needs to be found, and just like that, your plan's in ruins. Here's what most people do at this point: nothing, because they can't do it properly. They just skip it entirely. And then they tell themselves they'll get back on track next week when things calm down. Spoiler alert, things never calm down. But here's what James Clear revealed in Atomic Habits and what generally changed how I operate. The problem isn't your planning, it's that you've built your whole system around perfect conditions that exist maybe like twice a month if you're lucky. And the fix is surprisingly simple. In this video, we're covering why chaos is the default, not the exception, why guilt is the thing that is actually killing your progress, not the missed days, and the 5-minute rule that just makes everything else work, even when life gets completely in the way. Let's get into it. So let me paint the picture properly, because I know you've lived this. Every Monday morning I sit down and architect the perfect week. I grab my coffee or matcha, although I'm not doing that at the moment because it's Ramadan, and I map out the whole week. Monday, draft a newsletter. Tuesday, edit it. Wednesday, start the YouTube script. I can practically smell the productivity. This is their week. And then Monday arrives and my camera decides to stop working. 2 hours gone. I've been fiddling with the settings that were perfectly flying literally last week. Then on Tuesday, the train breaks down on my commute home and I'm standing on a packed platform for 45 minutes and I end up getting back at 8:30 p.m. instead of 7 p.m. Wednesday, I have an issue with the heating system in the house and now I'm running around trying to find the plumber. And before you know it, the whole week is gone. And you face this choice, right? This moment that actually defines everything. Do nothing because you can't do it properly, or do something even if it's imperfect. Most people choose nothing. They skip content creation because they only have 45 minutes instead of 3 hours. They don't touch their business because they're too tired for quality work, and they'll get back on track next week when things calm down. Here's the truth most productivity gurus will not say out loud. Most days will be imperfect. Things pop up randomly. Like that time I discovered a new chai spot, ran out of chai at 8 p.m. How does that even happen? It defies all logic. James Clear nails this in Atomic Habits. It's what you do on imperfect days that actually counts. That's what keeps you in the game. Success isn't perfect execution when everything is ideal. It's showing up when things are falling apart. And here's why it matters beyond just getting stuff done. Every time you show up, even imperfectly, you're casting a vote for the identity you want to build. You're collecting evidence that you're the type of person who creates, the type of person who follows through, the type of person who builds something. Think about it like football. I remember playing brilliantly in a match, doing everything right, and then watching the other side score 2 lucky goals, like ridiculously lucky goals. Sometimes that's just how it works. The only response is to get back up, keep playing, because opting out entirely doesn't make the scoreline any better. And the people who actually build something, the side hustlers who go the distance, they're not the ones who had better weeks. They're the ones who stopped waiting for better weeks. Okay, so here's the part that nobody really talks about, because we all know intellectually that we should just start again. But here's the thing that happens when we break a streak on an imperfect day. Self-judgment creeps in and it builds a wall between you and getting back on track. I lived this cycle way too many times. Join a gym, go consistently for 3 weeks, miss a few days, then avoid the gym entirely, because the guilt of the gap becomes heavier than any dumbbell in the actual gym. Or I used to this program called 75 Hard, where you kind of do 75 days solid without missing a single day. Intense daily commitments. And I lasted maybe a few days before I stopped. I don't even think I made it through one day. And instead of adjusting, I just spiraled into this terrible feeling about myself and just stopped exercising altogether. Guilt didn't motivate me back in, pushed me further out. Here's what actually works. Release the guilt, jump back in as soon as possible. That's it. No dramatic restart plan, no waiting for Monday or for the first day of the month or until Ramadan ends. Just return. Look, I failed at drop shipping, failed at Amazon FBA, ran a t-shirt business that went nowhere. The entrepreneurial failures behind me are well populated, and for years the track record kind of stopped me from starting anything new. I would say to myself, things are just going to be the same this time. I'm just going to start and stop. What makes this time so special? But I've reframed those experiences completely. They're not failures, they're education. I'm not starting from zero, I'm starting from informed. Each of those attempts taught me something real about marketing, about my own work habits, about what I actually want to build. And here's a reframe I genuinely use. If your best friend came to you in your exact situation, they missed a week, they're feeling like a failure, thinking about giving up, what would you say to them? You wouldn't pile pressure on them. You'd probably say, look, you tried something hard, that takes courage. What did you learn and what do we do next? Extend yourself the same grace. Now be really kind to yourself. Seriously, you wouldn't speak to your best friend the way you speak to yourself on a bad week. So why is it acceptable to treat yourself that way? The guilt isn't preparing you. Beating yourself down isn't going to achieve anything. It's not making you more disciplined. It's just creating a distance between you and the thing that you actually want to do. Drop it and just jump back in as quickly as possible. Right, so we've established that chaos is normal and guilt is the enemy. Now here's the practical piece, the thing that actually changed how I operate. James Clear has a line that I keep coming back to, which is that never underestimate what you can accomplish with 5 minutes a day. 5 minutes, that's it. I used to hold out for those perfect 3-hour blocks on my business. You know, when the kids are asleep, when I don't have anything to do around the house, when my wife is like out somewhere, but those time blocks never materialize and I'd get frustrated and do nothing. I was essentially waiting for ideal conditions that would show up maybe like twice a month, and I was wondering why progress felt so slow. Think about what 5 consistent minutes actually produces over a year. 5 minutes of writing daily is a book, an actual book. 5 minutes of reading the Quran every day. You could finish the Quran in 6 to 8 months, and imagine the barakah compounding there, like the world's best investment portfolio, except this time you're building something that goes way beyond this life and into the akhirah, the afterlife. Even language learning, like something genuinely complex, especially if you're tackling Arabic from scratch, even that you'll be able to accomplish so much just by doing 5 minutes a day consistently. The progress over a year is staggering because the secret isn't the intensity of any single session, it's the compounding of small consistent actions. I've completely changed my expectations now. I know perfect conditions are very rare, so I've built my system around the messy reality, not the ideal version of my week. And this diagram shows you exactly why. The big things are always made up of many small things. You're not waiting for the big block anymore. You're using the small one that's right in front of you. Okay, so I need to talk about the thing that derails more progress than anything else. That's all or nothing thinking. Classic scenario, I'm eating healthy, everything's going well, then someone leaves a chocolate bar in the kitchen, just sitting there. Yeah, maybe one of those like Lindor boxes, pistachio, salted caramel, I love those ones. And I would just eat it, and then something happens in my brain. Well, you've already ruined the diet today, you might as well go all in. And then I proceed to demolish everything unhealthy within reach, promising to start fresh tomorrow. Sound familiar? It's completely irrational when you lay it out like that, but in the moment it feels logical. One small slip becomes permission to abandon the whole thing. This happened with my Quran reading too. Busy day would come and I wouldn't have my ideal 30-minute window, so I'd read nothing at all, zero, because apparently 5 minutes didn't count in my perfectionist brain. The all or nothing thinking was actively stopping me from getting any benefit at all. Here's the fix: aim for 5 minutes minimum, just enough to maintain momentum, just enough to keep your identity as someone who reads the Quran daily intact. The chain doesn't break and the identity stays solid. The gym is another classic. Sign up in January with blazing New Year's energy or posty New Me vibes, go hard for 3 weeks, stop by February, feel guilty until the following January or the following Ramadan, and then repeat. I did this for years. Now I do a simple 15-minute routine at home. Bodyweight exercises, nothing fancy, maybe a kettlebell, nothing that requires a perfect morning or a gym that isn't packed and so busy. It's not glamorous, but it's the actual routine that I actually follow through and do. It's always better to do something and stay consistent than to do nothing while waiting for perfect conditions. One imperfect action beats 10 perfect plans that never happen. When I planned something and failed to follow through, the guilt would keep me from trying again quickly. The shame created distance, and distance made the habit harder to restart. What changed this was regular reviews. In my day job as a software engineer, we do something called retrospectives every 2 weeks. We talk about what went well, what didn't, what can we improve. Simple, blameless, forward focus, just data and adjustment. Anne-Laurie Leconf explores this in Tiny Experiments, which is a really good book, and she says, just try something for a week, then review what worked, what didn't, what's next. No judgment, just information. This is how I discovered I wasn't reading Quran consistently at my 30-minute target, so I adjusted to 10 minutes. I was still struggling. I dropped it to 5 minutes, and that kind of finally struck, and that habit formed, and now the foundation is solid enough for me to build on it. So then it's all about having a review cycle where you try something, you review it, what worked, what didn't, then you adjust your target, and then you just try it again, and then you just keep going around and around and around. Tracking is essential here too as well. You need to see data clearly, not rely on your memory about whether you took action on your goals or not. The simple habit tracker, even a paper calendar with X's through each day, makes patterns visible and never miss twice. That's the James Clear rule I keep coming back to. 1 miss is just life. 2 misses in the beginning of a new pattern you really don't want. So if I miss a day on my business, I do everything I can, do something the following day. Even just 5 minutes, that's enough to keep the identity alive. But don't hold it back if you do miss 2 days in a row. That guilt and that feeling of like, you haven't been able to do that task will really kind of stop you from bouncing back. The most important thing is just to bounce back. If any of this landed, or if you've been in the all or nothing trap, or you've been waiting for perfect conditions, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below. What habit or project do you want to stay consistent on? Let's make it real. And if you're not subscribed yet, now's a good time. I put out videos on building something meaningful as a Muslim without burning out or selling a soul. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Barakallah feek. I'll see you in the next one.